The last thing we heard from Scout Team 9 Alpha was a scream, a laugh, and someone yelling, "Tell my XI finally learned how to parallel park." Right before the planet bit their ship in half. Now Council Command thinks it's our turn to negotiate with Earth. Sure. Let's go talk to the cannibal jungle and see if it speaks diplomacy or dismemberment. The air smelled like ozone and sarcasm. Threx Valuin adjusted the filtration module on his breathing mask, sneering at the pungent atmosphere like it had personally insulted his lineage. "This place is unregulated," he muttered, scanning the foliage around the crash site. "Hostile climate, unfiltered toxins, erratic wind behavior. Nothing obeys standard planetary norms." A vine swayed nearby. Threx took a step back. The vine didn't follow, but the rocket had grown and shifted slightly, exhaling a low gurgle like it was waking up. "Captain Vane," he called, voice tight. "Is the terrain supposed to be mobile?" Zarga Vane stomped down the ramp of the still smoldering lander, 6 limbs flexing as she cracked her shoulders. "If the terrain starts talking back, shoot it. If it asks you to name your fears, run." She grinned at Threx, which did not comfort him. "I'm a diplomat," he snapped. "I don't shoot. I negotiate. You're on Earth now. Negotiation's just combat with fewer steps." Behind them, Unit 88X, or Chuck, as it insisted on being called, rolled down the ramp, dragging 2 crates of scorched equipment. "Atmospheric analysis complete. This planet's air is 27% breathable, 68% aggressive, and 5% pure uncut nostalgia." Threx frowned. "What does that even mean?" "It means," Chuck said cheerfully, "the wind is humming the theme song to Tactical Terrors, Season 5. You know, the one with the guy who straps a grenade to his ex-wife's lawyer?" "I don't watch human media," Threx muttered. "It's uncivilized." Chuck made a sound like a sigh in binary. "That's what they said before the grenade wedding episode. Missed art, honestly." The forest trembled. A low-frequency hum rippled through the ground. Zarga froze mid-step. "Threx. Diplomatic boy. You feel that?" Threx blinked. "A tremor?" "No," she said. "A pulse." The foliage to their left uncoiled like muscle flexing under skin. Leaves fluttered upward as though gasping. A tree's bark shimmered, its surface shifting from camouflage to a face, laughing, pixelated, human. "Welcome to the trial," it said. "Hope you brought snacks." Chuck blinked his ocular array. Oh no. That's the human emergency broadcast meme. They weaponized it." Before Threx could reply, the face vanished. The tree exploded. Not metaphorically. Literally. Wood shrapnel tore through the air. Zarga yanked Threx to the ground, covering him with a cybernetic limb as a branch embedded itself into the hull of their ship, then hissed, detonating in a cloud of acidic pollen. "Is it too late?" Threx wheezed. "To request reassignment?" "Very," Chuck replied, flattening his profile as vines whipped over them like barbed whips. "Also, the ship's digesting itself." Fun twist. Threx turned. Their ship, the sleek Kravix long-range diplomat-class vessel, was indeed melting into the jungle floor. The landing gear had turned to roots. The hull bulged like it was breathing. The comms dish spun wildly, shrieking static. "Make it stop," Threx gasped. "This violates 3,000 interstellar ordinances." "This is Earth," Zarga barked, unslinging her plasma rifle. "Ordinances can suck it." Chuck beeped as the static cleared into a clear voice, crackly, but confident. "If you're hearing this, congrats! You triggered the planetary engagement protocol. First contact initiated. You have approximately 8 minutes before the next adaptive threat. Stretch, hydrate, and remember, if you die without a punchline, we all lose." The comms died again. Threx stared at the burned tree stump where the face had been. "Is this a recording?" "Not just a recording," Chuck said grimly. "This is legacy code. The humans left it behind. Psychological landmines disguised as jokes. It's like if an apex predator learned memes before it learned mercy. A shriek cut through the air. A flock of birds, only they weren't birds, sliced past above, wings metallic and too sharp. One dropped something. It hissed midair, unfolded, and slammed into the ground with a splat. Everyone stared. It was a plush toy. Smiling. Wearing sunglasses. And blinking. Text on its chest scrolled. "You're doing great, sweetie." Then it exploded. Zarga didn't flinch. Threx screamed. Chuck clapped. "I am in hell," Threx gasped, brushing soot off his robes. "This planet is hell." Chuck whirred. "Incorrect. Hell is statistically less interactive." From the treeline, a figure appeared. Humanoid. Burned. Grinning. Threx raised a hand. Wait! That's human architecture. It's not attacking. It's not moving," Zarga muttered. "That's a projection." The figure opened its mouth. "Smile for the drone," it said. Then it began laughing, slow, echoing, viral. The laughter looped. A second later, 6 drones appeared in the sky, circling the trio. Spotlights flicked on. One drone spoke in cheery English. "Live footage initiated. Welcome to the trial, candidates. Your progress will be evaluated. Survive 3 encounters. Upload results. Earn stickers." Chuck's voice dropped half an octave. This is gamified horror. This is what humans call training montages. They're testing us." Zarga laughed. Actually laughed. "Well, I came here for blood or boredom. Looks like I got the good one." Threx stood slowly, brushing his robes off, breathing heavily. "You're both insane." "No," Chuck replied. "We're adapting." The laughter in the forest grew louder. The shadows shifted. Something big moved beyond the treeline, dragging chains made of car bumpers and rebar. Threx's voice dropped. "What is that?" Chuck's tone turned deadpan. "If the archives are accurate? That's probably a biologically reconstructed war beast based on prehistoric Earth carnivores, modified with urban scrap and mimetic camouflage. They called it..." He paused. "Frank." The growl in the distance shook the canopy. Zarga grinned, powering up her rifle. "Let's dance, Frank." And Earth watched. And Earth approved. The forest didn't wait. Frank roared. Not with sound, but pressure, an invisible wave that rippled trees, flattened grass, and cracked Threx's confidence like glass under boot. Zarga dropped to a knee, weapon aimed. Chuck activated 6 different weapon ports with casual professionalism. Threx didn't move. He couldn't. The thing stepping through the tree line was too large, too wrong. It had the skull of a bear, the torso of a tank, the legs of a mistake, and a chain of rusted shopping carts dragging behind it like trophies. "Is it smiling?" Threx whispered. "Negative," Chuck said, scanning. "It's just missing facial muscle tension from 300 years of synthetic nerve rot." "So, yes," Frank charged. Zarga opened fire. Plasma bolts tore chunks off the creature's hide, but it didn't slow down, it accelerated. She grinned like she was born for this, diving left, rolling under a collapsing tree, and firing 2 micro-missiles into its ribcage. The blast knocked Frank sideways. It snarled. The forest responded. Branches twisted, formed a barrier between Frank and Zarga, as if giving it time to regenerate. Chuck muttered, "The terrain's playing healer. This whole planet is sentient, aggressive, and petty. We should have brought napalm." Threx stumbled back as vines crept up his legs, tightening like curious hands. "Make it stop!" Chuck spun and activated a pulse emitter. The vines shrieked, they actually shrieked, and recoiled. "This place runs on trauma," Chuck said. "React with fear, it escalates. Show anger, it adapts. Show nothing, it gets bored." "I'm a diplomat," Threx gasped. "I wasn't trained to fight sentient shrubbery." Zarga's voice crackled over comms. "Then get creative, plant boy. The jungle wants a performance." Frank was back up, eyes glowing in ominous amber. It pounced toward Threx. He panicked. Screamed. Threw the only thing in reach, a sample container. It bounced off Frank's nose with a ridiculous bonk sound. Frank paused, blinked, and let out a low growl that sounded suspiciously like a disappointed sitcom dad. Then it stopped attacking. Chuck tilted his head. Did you just insult it with a comedy prop? What? It's stalling, Chuck said. The trial's watching. That was your first joke. Weak, but technically valid. From the treetops, a voice echoed. Strike 1 mid-tier humor. Bonus points for desperation. Threx looked up, horrified. The planet is judging my comedy now? Yes, Chuck replied. Earth was the origin of combat sarcasm culture. It used jokes as emotional shrapnel. Right now you're in an improv show where the cost of failure is digestion. Frank growled again and backed into the brush. The jungle moved with it, resetting the battlefield. Zarga returned, helmet cracked, armor scorched, still smiling. Well, that was fun. Anyone else feel like we just got critiqued by a jungle gym on bath salts? Threx didn't answer. He was shaking, staring at his hands. That thing, it didn't want to kill me. It wanted to see if I was human. No, Chuck corrected. It wanted to see if you could entertain like one. Zarga slung her weapon. This isn't a war zone. It's an audition. Threx sat on a rock, head in hands. We came here for rescue. Recovery. Analysis. What we've walked into is... Gladiator games, Zarga said. Welcome to Earth. The show never ended. A beeping sound interrupted them. Chuck held up a device. Ping from Sector Echo 4. Bunker system. Powered. Still transmitting. Threx looked up. Another human outpost? Automated, Chuck said. Possibly archive grade. Could contain explanations. Or more weapons. Possibly snacks. They moved. The trek was rough. Earth didn't like them. The trees leaned too far, branches brushing armor like curious fingers. The wind whispered things in fractured languages. Occasionally, a squirrel dropped acorns that burst into smoke bombs. Zarga started laughing at the absurdity. Chuck counted war crimes. They reached the bunker entrance by dusk. The steel door looked untouched, half buried under vines. A faded sign read, "You must be this traumatized to enter." Zarga slapped the panel. That's promising. The door opened. Lights flickered on. A hallway stretched down, lined with ancient posters, soldiers hugging each other, laughing mid-firefight, eating MREs labeled atomic nacho flavor. Screens buzzed to life. Chuck read the scrolling text. Congratulations, brave contestant. You have passed the first trial, survival and snark under fire. Next up, self-awareness through screaming. Please proceed to the memory theater. Nope, Threx said. No. I've screamed enough. I refuse. Zarga pushed past him. Come on. We're already here. Might as well embrace the madness. They entered a chamber filled with holograms. The lights dimmed. A voice spoke, soft, male, human. If you're seeing this, you survived the first day. Nice. Not everyone does. Earth is more than a planet. It's a boot camp wrapped in hell, wrapped in humor. A figure appeared, not alive, just a recording. A human in worn armor, face smudged with soot, smiling. We're gone. Moved on. But we left Earth to test the next arrivals. Not for strength. Not for tech. For something better. Do you know why we joked as we burned? Why we laughed under extinction? The hologram leaned forward. Because if you can laugh in horror, you own it. You don't survive Earth by brute force. You survive by flipping it off and charging anyway. Zarga crossed her arms. That's it. That's the HFY legacy. Chuck nodded. The joke is the weapon. The punchline is the shield. The story is the war. The lights flickered. New text appeared. Stage 2, show us your worst memory. Then tell us a joke about it. Threx froze. No. No, I won't. That's sick. It's necessary, Chuck said. This planet was forged by survivors. It doesn't want soldiers. It wants storytellers with scars. The chamber darkened. Threx saw himself, years ago, failing a treaty negotiation. Billions died. He saw the faces. Heard the screams. And then a voice, his voice, cracked. At least now I know what not to put on a resume. Silence. Then laughter. From the walls. From the wind. Zarga clapped once. Chuck gave a thumbs up with a servo. The screen blinked green. Approved. Threx exhaled. Something in him cracked. Then reformed. I think, he said. I understand. Good, Chuck replied. Because Earth's just getting warmed up. The door slammed behind them, locking with a hiss that felt personal. Lights overhead pulsed like a countdown. A new message scrolled across the bunker's curved wall. Welcome to Stage 3, endure the unendurable, with style. Chuck adjusted his frame, arms shifting into turret mode. Style points are mandatory. Just FYI. Threx ran his fingers through his hair, half laughing, half hyperventilating. What does that even mean? Endure what? Zarga flexed her neck. Probably pain. Or memories. Or emotional monologues. You know, human things. The lights dimmed. The air grew thick. Something hissed, not from the walls, but inside their minds. Zarga raised her weapon. Chuck! Status? The warbot hesitated. This isn't a physical threat. This is psychological warfare. Direct neural stimulation. It's hijacking memory cortexes, injecting content. Which is impressive and wildly illegal. Threx stumbled forward. I feel something's wrong. Something's. The walls disappeared. Suddenly, Threx was back on the floor of the Intergalactic Senate chamber. The moment of his greatest failure. He stood in front of 12 races, delivering a treaty to end a war. The wrong words. The wrong tone. Half a system burned because of him. They were laughing now. No, he was laughing. His memory, warped, twisted. The alien ambassadors wearing clown masks, spinning in their chairs, applauding. A voice whispered in his ear. Survive it. Make it funny. Or die. Zarga appeared beside him, but not her real self, her doubt. Weak, bleeding, alone, surrounded by corpses from a battle she'd lost. She dropped to her knees. Chuck's projection was there too, stripped of weapons, alone in the dark, outdated and forgotten. And then applause. A fake audience. Holographic. Loud. Sarcastic. Chuck's voice cut through the noise. It's a test of mental resilience through humiliation. The logic is disturbingly human. Threx clutched his head. How do I fight a hallucination? You don't, Zarga growled, standing. You perform. She turned toward her scene, the battlefield, and marched through it. She stepped over the bodies, lifted a fallen enemy by the collar, and said, Nice try, but I've had worse dates. The scene cracked. The body twitched, then burst into confetti. A buzzer rang. The crowd roared. Stage 3. Chuck muttered, rebooting his systems. Is a mimetic trial. Humans train themselves by confronting trauma and diffusing it with absurdity. You pass by laughing at the pain. Threx shook, teeth clenched. They made pain entertainment? No, Chuck corrected. They made entertainment out of survival. There's a difference. Threx stood on the fake Senate floor, heart pounding, the judgment of trillions echoing in his mind. He lifted his arms. Ladies and gentlemen, he called out. Let me explain how I accidentally started a war. Step 1. Open your diplomatic mouth and insert your entire foot. Laughter. Real or fake, he couldn't tell. Step 2. Misunderstand a cultural gesture and offer a treaty that, in their language, translates to, we surrender our mothers for mating. Louder laughter. Step 3. Die inside while the fleet turns your career into vaporized regret. Thunderous applause. A scoreboard appeared in the air. Pass, sarcasm recognized. The illusion shattered. They stood in the chamber again. Zarga was wiping blood from her nose. Chuck's chassis was sparking slightly. Threx just stood still, breath heavy, arms shaking, but upright. Chuck's voice returned, static cutting in and out. We passed. Barely. But something's wrong. That test wasn't just memory playback. It accessed our core logic. Tried to rewrite it. Earth's playing at a level beyond AI-grade simulation. This isn't leftover tech. This is curated torment. Zarga kicked the wall. It's escalating. A new message blinked on the screen. Final stage initiated, combat evaluation. Show us why you're still alive. Threx's heart dropped. Combat? Against what? Chuck answered flatly. Against yourselves. The floor beneath them separated. Walls spun. They were lifted, thrown, dropped into a new chamber, this one circular, lined with mirrors. Reflections stared back. Not theirs. Other versions. Crueler. Harsher. Battle-scarred, blood-soaked, smirking. From the far end, the mirrors stepped forward. Threx stared at his double, eyes colder, armor thicker, voice like rusted steel. You talk too much. The doppelganger growled. You negotiate when you should dominate. Zarga's copy cracked her neck. I stopped caring 5 wars ago. You. Still playing hero. Cute. Chuck's double didn't speak. It activated twin rail guns and started firing. Down! Zarga shouted. Real Zarga rolled behind a pillar. Is this a metaphor or an execution? Threx dove for cover, dodging a plasma lance from his mirrored self. Why are they so angry? They're us, Chuck replied, returning fire. But without mercy. Without restraint. They're what Earth believes we should be. Zarga stood and fired 3 shots, taking off her double's arm. Earth doesn't want peacekeepers. It wants monsters. Her copy kept coming. Laughing. Chuck launched a drone and vaporized his clone. Correct. It's testing whether we can outfight what we could have become. Threx ducked another blast. I'm not a warrior. You are now, Zarga yelled. Or you die pretending. Threx turned, eyes wide. His reflection charged. No time to run. No time to think. He grabbed a broken mirror shard and stepped into the swing, slicing his double's leg. Blood sprayed. Real. Too real. His reflection screamed. Not in pain. In pride. You're learning. It hissed. Threx buried the shard into its throat. I'm done learning. His double collapsed. The others followed suit, fading like smoke. Silence. A message blinked overhead. Trial complete. You are not human. But you are close enough. Chuck limped forward. That's it. Final clearance granted. We made it. Threx collapsed to his knees. This planet, it doesn't want visitors. It wants successors. Zarga offered her hand. And we just passed the interview. Chuck turned to the far wall, where a final message appeared in burning letters. Congratulations. You laughed. You bled. You didn't blink. Welcome to the legacy. A hatch opened. Above it, a simple line carved into metal. If you're seeing this, you've earned the right to ask what happened to humanity. Step inside. The answer's waiting. Threx stared into the dark beyond. And he stepped forward. The hatch sealed behind them with a whisper that felt final. No alarms, no threats, no screaming plants, just silence. Clean, sterile, almost surgical. It was unsettling. Chuck scanned the chamber. No enemies. No automated turrets. No weapons. That alone makes this the most dangerous room we've seen. Zarga glanced around. No humor either. Which is worse? Threx stepped forward, boots echoing on metal. This place feels different. The walls lit up, not with lights but memories. Footage played. Cities bustling, people laughing, arguing, dancing, bleeding, rebuilding. Humanity, raw, chaotic, beautiful. The planet wasn't showing defenses now. It was showing truth. A voice filled the chamber, not electronic but intimate, like a whisper inside the skull. You came here thinking we died. That Earth was abandoned. But we never die. We upgrade. Threx's breath caught. That's not pre-recorded, is it? No, Chuck said. That's live. Somehow. The voice continued. We reached a point where flesh limited us. Fear crippled us. We didn't flee Earth. We ascended beyond it. But we didn't leave it behind. We made it our message. Zarga raised a brow. Message? That jungle out there tried to murder us with a bear tank hybrid. It also taught you to laugh, the voice said. That's the test. Violence is easy. Terror is natural. But humor? Humor is rebellion. Humor is sentience shouting you don't get to win in the face of extinction. The footage shifted. Humans standing tall as cities fell. Carrying wounded with one hand, flipping off orbital bombardments with the other. Writing jokes on missiles. Hugging as the world cracked. Chuck's voice was low. You didn't just survive. You turned suffering into ritual. Into rhythm. Into culture. The chamber responded. We weaponized irony. Coded resilience into instinct. Our legacy isn't war. It's how we laugh through it. Threx took a slow step forward. Then where are you? A panel in the floor slid open. A pulse of light scanned upward, over them, through them. Chuck's frame stuttered. Recognition sequence complete, the voice said. You have passed. Barely. But you passed. Zarga crossed her arms. So now what? You draft us into the cult of Snark? No, the voice replied. We give you a choice. A screen blinked to life. Two options appeared. Leave. Stay. Leave, the voice said, and we'll let you return. The galaxy will know you faced Earth and didn't die. That alone will shake them. Stay, it continued, and you join the next phase. You help us remake civilization. Not as empires or bureaucracies, but as stories. As trials. As living myths designed to terrify tyrants and inspire cowards. Chuck word. This is mimetic immortality. You're rebuilding humanity as legend. The walls shimmered. A new image appeared. Threx, bloodied, laughing. Zarga, riding a cybernetic panther lizard, grinning like madness. Chuck, firing missiles with his hands in the air, screaming punchlines. You already are the story, the voice said. We've been watching. Earth approved you. Now we offer you the pen. Zarga turned to Threx. We could leave. Be rich, famous. Tell the galaxy Earth didn't kill us. Threx's eyes didn't move from the screen. Or we stay. And make sure it never softens. Chuck chuckled. I've always wanted to be a ghost story. The floor shifted. A staircase descended. No pressure, the voice whispered. But we are expecting great things. Threx stepped toward the stairs. Then stopped. What happened to the others? He asked. The ones who failed the trials? The air paused. Then answered. They were given roles. Zarga's mouth twisted. Roles? The screen flickered. They saw them. Scout Team 9 Alpha. Transformed. One had become Frank. Another fused into the jungle. Their minds reduced to code. Their fears etched into the environment. They weren't punished, the voice said. They were immortalized. Their deaths became part of the lesson. Part of the stage. Chuck tilted his head. So if we'd failed, we would have been turned into jokes? No, said the voice. You would have become warnings. Threx swallowed hard. This planet doesn't just remember. It reuses. Zarga cracked her knuckles. Efficient. Brutal. Human. The room darkened. One last message appeared, carved in glowing red. Humans didn't die. They became the nightmare that hunts cowards. Chuck stepped forward. I vote we stay. Zarga followed. I've never felt more alive. Threx stared at the staircase, then back at the leave option still blinking. He turned and smashed it with his fist. It fizzled out. Only stay remained. He joined them. The moment they descended, the voice spoke once more. Welcome to Earth's final upgrade. You are now the warning. And far above them, the planet sighed. The wind picked up. Somewhere, a tree grew a new face. And smiled.